We are all living in a Hugh Haycock's world. As with 3 rounds left, the question is not will, but when. But with 3 challenges left in the season, will anyone be able to dethrone Hugh from the top? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 10 of the Camel GT series, and you'll see it all here live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello, I'm Craig King, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Watkins Glen is known in America as a staple for all forms of motor racing with IMSA, NASCAR, and previously Formula One. So let's head over to our track guide for more information.
Welcome to Watkins Glen International. Situated in upstate New York, just south of the Finger Lakes, this track has seen it all. Few road circuits can boast hosting Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, and IMSA during its history. Though it did have a brief fallow period in the early 80s, thanks to the investment of local companies, it's grown into one of the premier road tracks in the U.S. With 4 layouts to choose from that range between 2.5 and 3.5 miles in length, lap times can vary greatly. But it also means it's suitable for lots of different levels of racing, from amateur to pro. The one thing that stays consistent no matter which car and which layout you're using is that Watkins Glen means speed. Many of the straights are very long, and the majority of the corners are fast sweepers. Some of them include a surprising amount of banking as well. Combine that with the proximity of the barriers, and this historic circuit retains a very old-school feel. Drivers in lesser-powered cars can expect drafting battles, while higher-powered machinery will test the skill and bravery of their pilots. Some of the turns are visually iconic, such as the carousel and the S's. Others, like the inner loop, the chute, and turn 9, greatly challenge even the expertly skilled. And of course, we haven't even mentioned the drastic amount of elevation change drivers experience. Between its rich history and popularity among drivers, this track stays busy and seems likely to be that way for a long, long time.
Well, it's one of my favourite tracks, Watkins Glen. And Adam, what are we going to expect today for these Camel drivers?
Well, Watkins Glen Classic has long been a staple on the Camel calendar, and it's easy to see why. Well suited for both cars, the Nissans will feel the most at home here with their high downforce, making sweeping turns and the various tilted braking zones much less daunting, but they still need to be careful of the high curbs and slick exits that often result in wheel spin coming off the corners. The Audis will also feel pretty at home here, with most of the high-speed turns being banked, and then the medium and slow speed being slow enough to not punish the front tires too much. But multi-class here is where things get spicy. Despite the Audi's comfortability around this track, they're still not particularly maneuverable, and they'll still feel like moving chicanes to this 10-second a lap faster Nissans. Best place to effect a pass here is the long straight after the S's that does not have the boot in the classic layout, and the danger zones are, well, basically everywhere else. Even with as wide as a track as this is, Craig, somehow it still always seems to feel congested for the Camel crowd here around Watkins Glen.
Yeah, I gotta be brutally honest, I can't remember the last time I've done any broadcast here that hasn't ended with some sort of carnage due to multiclass. It is one of those tracks, but as we'll have a quick look at the championship while they're doing the driving, as I was saying, it is a Hugh Haycock's world. Look at that in the standings. Currently dominating the prestigious 48 points ahead there. And we look to really see, can he go any further? Can he win today? We're waiting to see. But there's Havvo, Aaron Humphrey, Fabian Youngblood, and Timothy Reed all really there battling for the rest of the championship. And Jason Clapper just sneaking into the top 10 there. It is still to play for if you're not looking for the win. But what is it like in the Audis, Adam?
Very much the same. Jukka Leskala with a bad result last weekend is only 29 points ahead of Javier Del Olmo, and that's because the drop points have been calculated at this point in the season. So this brings everything up to where it's going to be for the rest of the season. So Javier is still a little bit more than one DNF away from Yuko, but Escaleta-Niemi is very tightly in a battle with Ian Haycox for that third position in the points. And then it's very tight between Doug Cloud and Toby Cortaniemi, as well as Kurt Crum for 5th, and then Jamie Hamill-Smith, Philip Savoy, and Andreas Schuster duking it out for 8th position down the back.
just so nice to see so many different battles around the area, but they are still getting ready for qualifying. As you see, this is the 10th race of the season, and it is still a 40-minute race for us. And it will be those open setups that the community like working on. And of course, there is no spare car, as per usual. You drive what you got, and if you crash, unfortunately, that's it. The drive-through at 17X, I doubt we'll see that today, despite the runoffs that people do like to use at turn 1. And of course, 25 incident points for a disqualification. Again, we don't want to see that, but that first corner, Adam, we don't talk a lot about it. It's a high-speed corner, but especially in the GTPs, you can run the risk of losing the car.
Well, the trouble is not the corner itself. It's actually the rejoin from the exit. The exit is paved, and you don't get any sort of penalty for going out there. And so it realistically reduces from 5 cars wide down to about 2 before you head up the S's. And so we often see a lot of people make contact as they fan out through the first corner and then rejoin back onto the S's. And then through the S's, a little bit of duking, a little bit of jiving. There's a little bit of a drop between the 2 S's, and that can often push a car out into another one and cause a gigantic wreck. And if the GTPs block the track and the GTOs are coming, that's going to be the end of the race for a lot of people.
Yeah, the first lap, I've always thought communication here is key, just because one mistake on those S's can be deadly. And of course, you're going to see a lot of 2x2 going up there as we're seeing some of the cars coming around. That's always a challenge. With 4 minutes 20 to go, you start to see these cars going by. Hugh Haycock does have that lead, quite a convincing lead at that, but what can he do this time by as he comes down in that classic livery? And he comes down, the number 1 car of Jocko Leskola is looking like he's about to set his first lap time into turn 10. He goes. And again, you've got a lot of runoff nowadays on that penultimate corner into the final corner. Turn 11 comes out there. The speed is there. He needs a good result. They're almost just gone pole for 44.594, and Leskola is a 44.663. So he's got to find just under a 10th to try to get that pole position.
Yeah, this is a little rare, actually, for Leskola to be on the back foot going into his second lap in qualifying. So it's going to be pressure on for him, but he's very consistent. And so as long as he doesn't pick up an incident over the course of this lap, he will likely have a good job at pipping Javier Del Olmo for this pole position. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Of course, you can see just there before we just switched over as well, no boot inner loop, as it's called. They go down to the outer loop, and we just see now, this is Timothy Vaughan coming across the line, and he's going to be doing his second lap, and it's a 27.535. Not going to be fast enough to change his time. And there's Leskola coming out of the chute into, Adam, one of my favorite parts of the track. It's the toe up to the hill. Just these high rising and high elevations. It's just such a challenge.
Oh, it is an extreme challenge. It tightens more than you think it does, and then it actually starts to the climb starts to drop off as you exit the corner, and so it can push you wide if you're not careful. So you often have to take that corner a lot slower than you think, because you're thinking to yourself, "It's a banked corner, I should be fine." But when that exit comes, it pushes you out wide, and so you get a lot of tire scrub if you're not careful, and that can actually contribute to tire wear, which has definitely been a thing that we've been seeing the GTP struggling with over the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, and of course, Watkins Glen is known for a tire eater. It's a cooler track than usual, but it's still going to be vital to keep tire management on board with Leskola as he heads for the line. There's going to be a 44.099, and he does pip Javier Del Olmo to pole position. Del Olmo came over, did improve at a 44.170, so that is where he wants to be as the rest of the drivers starting to come down as well. Hamill Smith will cross the line, and I don't think he gets a better lap. No, it's a 45.541 there for Hamill Smith. Just seeing if there's anybody else out there. There's a minute 30 left. Samuel De Oliveira is, I think, the last man that will probably set a lap time here.
Yeah, Juanmi Costa is also going to finish his second lap very shortly, but this is running on board with Samuel De Oliveira. So doing a good job. Newer face to the Camel GT community. We have seen quite a few of the supercar drivers making a hop over to join the broadcast races for Camel. So I believe Samuel is one of those drivers who is making that hop. So looking forward to seeing those new faces on the broadcast in weeks to come.
Yeah, always nice to see more people in this community. It's such a nice community, the Camel GT community. He'll come across the line with a 45.949. Doesn't put him at the back of the field, but it still puts him in a strong position now. And that is all for qualifying. All she wrote, really, is everybody has done the times that they can. So we'll quickly run this down. As you see, Hugh Haycox and Arto Imaraki will be your first and second. And then it's Timothy and Timothy. Reed and Vaughan in third and fourth. Lars Olsen will be fifth, and Fabian Youngblood takes sixth, and it's Aaron Humphrey in seventh. Brendan Lim in eighth. Ivan Aiso in ninth. Martin Krychek will be 10th, and that rounds out the first row. In the second row, we've got Tim Jonk in 11th. Tommy Kaliokua in 12th. Apologies for that. Aitor Sintes Galindo in 13th. Roman Bello in 14th, and Jason Clapper not setting a time.
And then we get to the GTOs with Yuka Leskala taking pole position. Second is going to be Javier Del Olmo with Escalatanemi lining up in third. Ian Haycox starting off in fourth on row 2 with Juan Costa starting off row 3 with Arturas Kundlis alongside him. Franco Scurry is going to start off row 4 with Andreas Schuster in 8th. Doug Cloud starts off 9th, and rounding out your top 10 is Felipe Savoy. Then we've got Jack David Spickett and Jamie Hamill-Smith on row 6 with Mika Hendricks, Samuel de Oliveira, and Francois Schink are TCR drivers who are joining us in the top split today.
TCR, I think I think a TCR is not a bad skill set to get over for the GTOs as well. But I was talking about the temperatures. Do you see it? 81 Fahrenheit, 27 Celsius to the air temp, and it's a 96 Fahrenheit and 36 Celsius track temp. It's cooler than what we're used to when I see Watkins Glen, but it's still a warm racetrack here. And that humidity, 43%, is going to be a bit of a struggle as they start getting ready. It's going to be a full formation lap around here. And we do have 2 splits. There's only a 30-car field for us today as we just start to look on board with some of the drivers. That is the rundown. As we see there, that is Franco. That is Franco indeed, isn't it? Yep. That's Francois Shrink, sorry. In the VR set. I can't do this myself because my classes. I don't know if you've been able to do it, Adam, but it's such an experience from what I've heard.
Oh, I'm a VR advocate for sure in this series. In quite frankly, in sim in general, and so I just find it to be an amazing experience. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's a little bit disorienting, but it's a blast.
Yeah, I was going to say we just got Ian Haycox here just on board. There he is yet again with his 2 things, and I think he's aware of it as he gets himself ready for the formation lap. There he is with his pedal set. Yeah, I've got to be honest. I don't think I'd be able to cope with the VR, but I know one thing for sure: just racing in these cars can be a bit of a workout. Racing anywhere is a bit of a workout, to be fair. There's Ian Haycox, though. He starts to get away, and as you see, his traditional green helmet, green car there, sitting in P4. A nice little gap between the GTOs and the GTPs. And this is the S's. This is what it's all about. This is the run that Adam was talking about.
Absolutely. A really challenging section of track, especially for the Audis. But the Nissans, they're tempted into a false sense of security going up the S's because of their downforce. But believe it or not, that little drop that comes in the middle of the S's still affects the Nissans and pushes them around. We've seen people spin out there multiple times on cold tires. And cold tires are definitely a thing in this series. It takes about 2 laps before your tires get up to full temperature. And the Nissans have fallen afoul of this a couple of times in the past. And if they do so in the S's, it's going to be carnage for everyone behind.
Yeah, we keep talking about that carnage. It will happen. We're not saying we don't want it to happen. Unfortunately, it probably will happen at some point. Something will go wrong. Trying to overtake lapped cars on the S's is one of the trickiest aspects of this track because you know where they can go and you've got to make sure that you make the right decision because you have the faster car. It's one of those things with multiclass racing around here. A lot of drivers sometimes get a little bit concerned when it comes to multiclass here. The faster car can just send so much speed into the corners on braking that the slower classes can't handle that. And sometimes you might be turning and they're right beside you. It's not them trying to send it. It is just literally that speed difference as they come into what they don't do in NASCAR, into the boot section, down the chute, up to the toe. What do you think we're going to see here? I'm not going to say any predictions here, Adam, but again, it could be Hugh Haycock's championship today, but who are we going to say is going to be the all eyes to watch out for?
Well, I think that it's going to be, you're definitely going to want to watch Hugh Haycock and Nico Lescalo. Those two are going to race away with the lead if they can get away. That being said, it's a big drafting zone down into the carousel, so it's a good chance for all of the drivers to try and stay on the backs of these quick drivers. You can see Yuka Lescala pumping the brakes a little bit, trying to warm up those tires as much as possible on this full pace lap we have. But regarding the GTPs, Hugh Haycock's raw speed has been a real challenge for everyone to fight today, but we've got Arno Iamaki here today who's going to give it a run for his money.
Yep, Imaraki could be the nail that just puts a wedge in between Hugh Haycock and his championship aspirations. One more corner to go. The pace car will come in pretty early, and then it is Hugh Haycock controlling the pack. They will get ready for 40 minutes here at Watkins Glen. Pace car goes in, and we are away right away. Now we're away right away as Hugh Haycock absolutely catches Arto out there. He's going to have it all to himself going into the first corner. Timothy Reed looks to make a move, decides against him. And I think everybody is going to make it here. The key here is going up the S's, but while that's happening, the GTOs are just coming around for their start.
Absolutely, Yuka Lescala taking them through turn one, just ahead of Javier Del Olmo, Escoleta, Ian Haycock. Looks like Franco Scurry had a little bit of trouble going through the back of the pack. It looks like Felipe Savoy is off in the back, recovering now. He jumps into the pits, unfortunately for him, so he is out of this race just as we start. Rather, that was Micah Hendricks who's out of this race just as we start.
That is not what you want to see at the start of the race. Such a shame there as they come down into the long straight here. And anybody going to make a move, as you can see, in Haycock may get challenged here. Nice little stream of cars coming down into the outer loop. And there is one trying to make a move around. And it's not going to pay off there. That is Franco Scurry. Got to be careful going around. Can they make a move into the chute? No, they can't. And they make contact straight away.
That was an absolute send for Franco Scurry. Just missed his braking point. Absolutely clouts Doug Cloud. Both of them are going to struggle to keep going. But side by side between Wadmi Costa and Arturas Kundalis, and then Javier Del Olmo and Yuka Lescala. Javier's gotten ahead of Yuko. Yuko pinned it, missed it up through the toe of the boot.
Messed it up there, and he does not have that lead. He's going to have to get it back if he wants it. And you can see that it's still an early dawn, but he does not want to see that gap get spread out as early as possible. We're watching the stream of cars here as Ian Haycock. They're trying to get on. It is almost like a question of the rest of the field because they're already a second behind the leaders here in the GTOs. And up again to the S's for the second time. Arto is trying to hold off to Timothy Reed. And behind him is Timothy. It's Timothy trying to get onto Arto. Nothing at the moment. Does Reed go for this move? He pulls over. He's going to go for it. And just like that, Timothy Reed takes that P2. There might be a response here. They do have an overlap. There is an overlap. Arto is going to try this. Are they going to keep this is what I wonder. No, I think that's it for the moment. Got to be careful going too wide here for too long. It does bring everybody back into play.
Yeah, and remember what I talked about. It takes 2 laps for these tires to get up to temperature. Had these tires been up to temperature, Arno Iamaki would have been able to hang it around the outside of the carousel very easily, and Timothy Reed would have been able to hang it around the outside of the outer loop. But unfortunately, the tires are not quite up to temp yet, and so that meant that both of them struggled a little bit. And this is just giving Hugh Haycock more of a lead. It's out to 1.5 seconds after 2 laps. We'll be right on board with Laus Olsen.
Yeah, we're right on board with the pucker can. That is Laus Olsen. He's got a good view of this while he's just keeping in the mirrors. Fabian Youngblood half a second behind him, but he's watching these three duel it out at the moment. You know, it's just a little bit of dueling. Almost just touching the wall there. A little bit of dueling in front of him. It's just what he wants to see because he's just going to start crawling in. He may bring Fabian along for the ride as wide goes Timothy Reed. But the sooner he can catch up to them, this is what he wants now. All the straight. Use this slipstream that Adam was on about earlier. And hopefully they can catch on. But you can start to see he's losing out.
Yeah, but someone who's not losing out is Timothy Reed. Reed's going to go for the inside again. It looks like, no, he backs out of it. Thinks better of that move. Going to try and find a better way to set him up, possibly into the outer loop. It's going to be nose to tail as they go towards the outer loop, and Artie Yamaki opens it up, realizing Timothy Reed doesn't have enough overspeed. So the Timothy's still trying to hunt down Artie Yamaki. That being said, an interesting thing to note, 2 races ago in the GTOs, we had a similar lineup that we do now with Javier Del Olmo leading the race over Yuko Lescala. Ian Haycox was in 3rd. Javier and Yuko both had trouble with traffic, and Ian came home with the win. Are we going to see a repeat of that today?
Well, we know what it's like when traffic gets into play here, so that's all to look out for. But also, is this battle in the GTOs as Lescala gets the run straight away. Nowhere to go. They have to brake early for this corner, but he takes that inside and he gets the lead. Del Olmo may want to look for a response. He cannot get there. Tries to get on the throttle early, and there was just a car right in front of him. Lescala retakes that lead that he lost literally 2 laps ago. Now, can he hold on to it? Ian Haycock is getting brought along for the ride here. Now they've got to look to try and make as many time and places as they can in terms of the track position.
Ardo was off. Ardo took it too deep into turn 1, and he actually spun out and wrecked, and he towed immediately because he was in the middle of the track.
Yeah, he towed immediately. He is actually out of full stop. We'll have to see what happened. That puts the lead, though, for Hugh for 2 seconds. Here we go with the replay. Now, this is going to be, as we're on board, come out of the final corner. And he's going to head down to the 90, as they call it here, for turn 1. There he is, Arto. Just misses, braking. Already, you can see he's going too fast there in the back. He just catches that ridge, that vital ridge there, and the car just gets flying. And that is a dangerous ridge.
He dumped out of the sim. He dropped the sim as quick as he possibly could because he knew he was going to be in the way of the traffic. So props to Ardo for taking the pill there and just jumping out. Oh my goodness, that's a hard pill to swallow for him, unfortunately. But looks like Javier Del Olmo might have another chance at Yuko Lescala here as we start to get out of the S's and onto the back straight.
Yep, onto the back straight they come. And he's also got Ian Haycox right behind him, but he won't play into this. Now, they have to brake earlier than you would in a GT car for this, so I don't think Javier's going to have a run here. But he takes a good 3 attempts away from that, just on that straight. But again, there's Ian Haycox. He's getting brought around for the ride. Esco Letonemi is nowhere to be found because he's over a second behind. Down into the chute, they come. Now, I don't think, Adam, there's any chances going into the heel. This looks to be Javier will have to just wait again.
It's hard to make a pass into the hill because the Audis really can't go full throttle out of the toe of the boot. But that being said, one thing I've been noticing is that Javier and Yuko are slinging those cars around really hard. And Ian Haycox is just being nice and gentle with the machine. He may not be faster than those two, but he might have more tires at the end, which may prove to be the saving grace for him.
But they say driving slow is fast, and maybe just doing that could be handy as we're on board with Ian Haycox. And one of the things I've always been told when you come to Watkins Glen because of the heat, start doing things smoother. Your throttle input smoother, your steering smoother. Just take it careful. You don't need to be slinging that car around because you will use up that tire. So we're going to see now he comes into the 90, and look at that. Look how smooth that is. Straight on he goes, driving on. Now, he does have a little bit of a run. I don't think he'll be able to make a move here, and I don't think Javier has the space here to make it this time. That gap is 4 tenths, 3 tenths. He needs it to be about 2 tenths now, and it's not there. So I think Javier's another shot here may be gone, but he may look for this right now.
Sorry, our GTP leaders are in the midst of traffic right now. And this is starting to become a real problem for Timothy Reed. He got held up by the battle for 12th position as he has to go off track to navigate around Felipe Savoy, who is tracking out. And look at that, Laust Olsen going 3 wide behind him. My goodness, these GTPs are having to cut through any which way they can right now.
Like a knife through butter, they're trying to cut through as smoothly as they can. And Timothy Reed had to take that off track, otherwise there was nowhere to go but the back of that GTO. Maybe Youngblood is also now getting a little bit held up in this situation. Look at that traffic! Well, that is what you expect to see around here.
Yeah, we're looking at Martin Krajcik right now as he's trying to plow his way forward through this traffic. Look at this. He's in a battle for ninth between Brendan Lim and Jason Clapper. But look at that. Brendan Lim gets trapped up behind Jack David Spickett, and that means that gives Martin Krajcik the position.
And 3 wide right behind him as they're trying to battle on as well. Jason Clapper getting past Brendan Lim, who's lost a couple positions in that moment. And a sliding Felipe Savoy that gets into the wall. Hopefully no one's going to caught out in that. No, Jack Spickett also getting caught out with a wreck himself there. And it's all just getting a little bit chaotic there. And now Tim Jonk as well getting caught out. And this battle is still brewing.
Unbelievable move between Aaron Humphreys and Ivan Olesenko-Osuno. Really challenging battle for these two drivers as they're trying to navigate their way through. Hugh Haycox up at the front of the GTP field has gotten caught up by the leaders in the GTOs. This is going to close Timothy Reed back in to Hugh Haycox, who had a 2.5 lead. But now Hugh is free and clear. This should start to extend his gap, but this is definitely affecting our leaders in the GTOs as they battle.
And it is indeed. It's not always about just the faster classes when it comes to multi-class traffic. It's about the slower classes, and you think that they're free at the moment as Latin Hemi is getting side by side with Costa, and he's having to make the deep defense. And behind him is Fabian Youngblood. They're having to make this battle. They come down in, and Latin will hold on to that, but Fabian is going to go around the outside. That will compromise Esco's exit. And then behind him, even more. Look at it. That is Aaron Humphrey. Aitor Sintes Galindo will want to get through this as quick as he can. He does. And a late move there.
Oh, no.
Ivan. And that is going to cause a little bit of traffic.
Ivan and Juanmi Costa going around, just Ivan braking harder than the Audis can. It's one of the temptations of the GTP is to duck in front of an Audi and slam on the brakes to hit the right line. Unfortunately, that usually ends in disaster, but look at this. Javier Delamo trying to challenge Chico Lescala, being split right now by Fabian Youngblood.
All you see at the moment is just GTP trying to get around GTOs, and another 3 wide up ahead as Aitor Sintes Galindo is trying to get past Aaron Humphreys. He can't make it this time, but he will have, if he just gets into the back now. He's got the slipstream. For all we know, this looks like Aitor may be able to make this move. The speed difference is massive. Is he forced on the outside, though, is the big question. He is. He's going to have to do this the hard way, but there is a little bit of slipstream up ahead. Fabian Youngblood is right ahead, giving him a little bit of slipstream. He's still going to do this around the outside of the outer loop. He can't do this, and he loses, and Aaron continues in that P6.
What's the difference between last season and this season? Oh, we've had a wreck with Tomi Kallio-Kujala through the outer loop. He just slid out on the outside, and that's what I was going to mention, Craig. What's the difference between last season?
Laus Olsen's in the wall. Sorry, Laus Olsen's been in the wall. And Laus Olsen's lost it at the toe.
And this was all of his own making. He just took it too deep in, got the rear sliding out, and pancakes the outside wall. I don't know if there's going to be that much damage to the car, but he's lost a lot of positions and will lose a little bit of straight line speed.
He's got quite a damaged front nose. You would have thought, thankfully, it was a tire barrier, so that may have helped just absorb some of the damage. But Olsen there, unfortunately, just not having the best of the luck today. Now, Timothy Reed, that's a very late day. You can get a slowdown penalty for going in there, and Laus Olsen is definitely taking a pit stop to take those repairs. You can take a slowdown there at that corner on turn 1, but as we continue, Javier de Olmo, Luco Lescala, sorry, it is almost a second, but Javier's still in that slipstream. They can breathe a sigh of relief for the moment. All the traffic has come by them.
I do think it's important to make the point that the only difference between last season and this season for these particular cars, aside from a couple of minor performance adjustments, is the fact that offline is now greasy in iRacing. That makes the outside of the boot not a particularly nice place to be for these cars, and the GTPs who used to be able to make passes around the outside may not be able to due to that change.
Yeah, it's a change that has been noticed a lot there. And you can see Javier de Olmo just going a little bit wide there. Also may have just slid a touch there. That brings Ian Haycock back in. But there is one more GTP coming behind them, and they may put a fork in the works. He'll get past Ian. And won't get past Javier right away. No, he will. He will try to go around the outside, but he cannot. But that is not good for Javier, because if he's got to deal with more traffic, he's going to lose time out to Lescala. And that's not what you want at the moment. The GTOs want a little bit of calmness at this moment, I feel.
Yeah, but that actually compromised Lescala's line, and it's going to compromise Lescala's line through the corner as well. Lescala offline, exiting the corner, so that's actually going to give a little bit of advantage to Javier behind him. So that's a decent move from Javier. But I do want to take us back up to the lead of the GTPs. Hugh Haycox has not been able to run away from Timothy Reed in clear air. Reed's been able to keep Hugh honest right now.
Not only that, he's been beating the times that Hugh has been putting in. It was around a 129 flat last time by for Hugh, and it was a 128.8 or 128.769, sorry, for Timothy Reed. So he is really on the back there of Hugh Haycox. They're trying to just see if he can take this away from Hugh. And again, he catches up, and it feels to me he's better in the braking zones, especially there for the heel. But then we've got to ask the question, Adam, is a heavier braking going to affect these tires? Because look at it right now, he's getting there on the braking, and the exit, he's just not matching.
It depends on how much slip is going on under braking. If he's getting a lot of slip in the braking zones, I think he's going to be struggling a little bit towards the end of the race. But as it is right now, I think he's actually driving a little smoother than Hugh on exit, which is where the GTP tires get the most pressure. So as long as he can stay calm on exit, he should be okay. But let's see what happens as they go up towards the straightaway. I'm pretty sure he's a little bit too far back to make a pass, but it might be close.
Yeah, the gap was 6/10 going up the S's. It's now 4/10 and going down. He's not going to be able to make it at the moment, but the dirty air may hinder him. They're also keeping their eyes on the relative, because 6 seconds up the road is a GTO. So that means that they are getting ready for a second pass in the traffic. And there you go. Not a lot of overcorrecting. Nice smooth driving there from Timothy Reed. And he's just holding to the back there. That's what you want to see. You want to see just that smooth racing. Now, I just want to quickly go back as well to the GTOs, because I don't think anything's been happening at the front. But for P5, we do have Andreas Schuster having to hold off Arturus there, which is not a name I've seen.
Arturus Kundal, he's been joining us for the last 3 or 4 rounds in the Audi series, in this Camel series in the Audi. Doing a good job putting in top 5s, top 10s throughout. Just working. He's got raw speed. He's working on consistency for Arturus, especially with the tire management. But Arturus did get passed by Andreas Schuster on the past lap, but they were side by side for about half of it. So riding on board with Andreas Schuster, looking forward as Arturus Kundalis is going to try and challenge coming out the outside. No, he backs out of it. He's going to give Schuster the room, possibly trying to work with Schuster now to get themselves back up to Letaniemi, who's 3 seconds ahead.
And while that was happening just ahead of them, Javier De Olmo retook the lead from Jocko Lescala going into that outer loop, that downhill right-hander there. And now you can start to see, because of the battle, it also brought in Haycock yet again into this free-car battle. Again, we may see Lescala just wait again. It's one of these tracks, even in these GTOs, we've mentioned it so many times, that you've just got to be careful, wait your time, and sometimes, and look at them all taking a different way into the corner, take your time and just wait for that moment. I really like just seeing that, just all 3 of them in a separate line there.
One of the best things about iRacing is that different lines do pay off. You can race the track differently than the car ahead of you and find speed, and that's the joy of it. There is not one correct line through any given corner. There is probably an optimal line, but not everyone's going to take that every lap. That being said, you said that Yuko might be patient. Yuko, if it was any other driver, I'd say yes, but Yuko Lescala tends to want to lead the race. He feels more like he's in control when he's at the front. And so I'd expect to see Yuko try and make a move on Javier soon. If not this lap, then probably the next.
I think he's got it, though. He's 2 tenths up the hill. He's probably just holding on. He's going to be using the slipstream. And yeah, Javier realized that right away. And Yuko is going to try and go for an outside move here. There's the overlap. They're side by side right now, going down. And they break at the same time. And he's trying to make the move. Almost comes together. And Lescala cannot make that work. And then Laus Olsen's going to get in, and Laus Olsen almost gets him with Ian Haycox here. It's getting a little bit chaotic, and that's going to hinder Ian.
Timothy Reed's around. He was trying to make an outside move on Hugh Haycox for the lead of the race, and unfortunately, he spins around. He just put a little bit too much power into it, and now he's got right side damage.
He just got clipped as well by a GTO. That is so unfortunate. That was going to be one of the moves that you just wanted to see. Just around the outside was something, that was absolutely gut-wrenching there. You've got to feel for Timothy. He does have a little bit of damage, and the car does look unstable. Oh, it's not what you want to see for Timothy.
No, it's not what you want to see for the race either. It releases Hugh Haycox to an 8-second lead over Timothy Vaughn, unfortunately. But here's that battle for the lead in the GTOs again. Javier Olmo still leading over Yuka Leskola, and here comes Hugh Haycox to pass them on the front straight.
Yeah, and that's going to be handy for Javier, but not for Leskola, because that will give a little bit of slipstream. No, it doesn't. And, the touch by both drivers there. And this is going to bring Ian Haycox into the contention. Leskola is no longer looking forward. He's having to look behind. Ian Haycox with his best chance to get to P2 all race as we hit the halfway stage of this race. Can he make a move? I think the double slipstream is going to help him, but then Leskola's also got his own slipstream here. They'll come down, and I don't think, Adam, we're going to see anything here.
I don't know. Yuko might try and make an inside move, thinks better of it, but still nose to tail for these drivers. Yuko Lesko possibly looking for a move into the outer loop, but nothing doing there.
And again, they'll come into the chute, and they do have Timothy Vaughan coming up behind them. So, as per usual, let's just see. Is he going to back off a little bit and wait? He cannot make the move. He's going to wait to get past all three of them. Leskola is really getting on the brakes later here and carrying a bit more speed. And that is causing issues because Javier is not able to do it. This is going to be dicey as he gets in front. Javier Olmo does hold on, as does Timothy Vaughan. And as they go up the hill yet again, Leskola, he's been very patient here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look at the replay of what happened with the GTP leaders. This was actually a big deal. Hugh Haycox, and so this is Timothy Reed who's trying to pass Hugh Haycox. He actually does a good job of covering off Timothy into this corner here, and then squeezes him down on those Audis, and then he just gets a little bit too happy on the throttle coming out. Spins it around, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he does get a little bit of contact there by, I believe it was one of the GTOs. Didn't see who it was, but just get a little contact here. Back to the GTO battle itself. Look at this. We've got battles in battles going on right now. Going up the S's. This is the dangerous part of the track that we were talking about. You've got in front Timothy Reed battling Timothy Vaughan, Fabian Youngblood. You've got, oh my days, 3 wide going in the backfield. Javier's going to have to lift there because of a GTP. It's Crane Trick having 3 wide. Leskola's going to retake the lead.
Oh, it's too wide.
Grab on my word. 2 wide down into the chute. He's going to get the position back there, Olmo. And there are battles everywhere. Look at this, and look at Jason Clapper now trying to come in. I am trying to keep my eyes everywhere, but it is all just kicked off just in the S's there. Like, Leskola saves it.
Very loose there, manages to save it, but Yuko's been put offline by so many GTPs at this point. This is freeing up Javier Del Olmo a little bit. He's about a second ahead of these guys. Oh my goodness.
Indeed, and that is just going to help Javier now. He's got the space. He's let the cars go by, and no issues with him. By the way, on that straight, Timothy Reed with the damage went from 3rd position all the way down to 6th position with those battles going on. And that is not what you want to see, but he is trying to keep battling out there, as you see. Now, again, Ian Haycock's going to get a little bit hindered here. And where does Brendan Lim slot in? And that's Leskola on another compromised line there due to the GTPs. Not what he wants to see right now, Adam.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the GTO leaders are going to be very frustrated with the behavior of the GTPs this time through the traffic. There's probably going to be one more time through for these GTPs through our leaders over the course of this race, so going to have to keep that in mind. Ian Haycox is now in trouble with Romain Bello tucked in behind him through the S's. Looks like Romain's going to be patient here and give Ian some room, but this has definitely separated our lead in the GTO battle.
He has indeed. They still have a little bit of slipstream on one another, but it's not going to be enough to bring them all back into contention. That's Tim Jonk getting past Leskola. Maybe he's able to bunch them all up again. Leskola and Haycox are now bunched up together themselves. And meanwhile, Del Olmo continues to keep going. If Del Olmo keeps the pace at the moment, I think he may be able to just hold on to this. The traffic may help him, but traffic giveth and traffic does taketh away.
Absolutely, and all of this traffic has definitely split up a lot of our battles as Hugh Haycox puts in yet another fastest lap, nearly 12 seconds now ahead of Timothy Vaughn. Unfortunately, Timothy Reed's spin has really taken away the battle for that lead, but the battle for the lead of the GTOs still hot and spicy. Javier Del Olmo has been unwilling to relinquish this lead to Yuka Leskola, who's now starting to lock up the inside tires through some of the braking zones. Now, granted, we see him do this a lot, and it doesn't seem to affect his pace that much, which I wish I could learn how that works.
I would love to know how you could look at the tires and keep it nice and clean, but unfortunately, that is something that I have to learn. Of course, you lock up the tires, you heat the tires up a little bit more, and track temp has remained it's now 98 Fahrenheit, but it's still around that area, 37 Celsius. And you start to see that maybe this tire life that Leskola has been holding on to, and Ian, and may be able to get them into just where they want to be at the end of the race with 15 minutes left. I think Leskola may have a chance if they go up the S's one more time. He's got a fantastic run. But again, he's going to be forced wide. He's going to be forced onto that greasy side of the track. But I think he's got it fully completed. I think they're almost going to have to concede this. He may look for it. The door is shut. And right away, Leskola, for the second time this race, has that lead back.
That was a beautiful move from Leskola. A little bit of a late break, a drift over in that braking zone. He made it clear what his intentions were entering that braking zone. It wasn't a move during braking, but my goodness. Just such good racing between Del Olmo and Leskola. But Del Olmo, I feel like, has a little bit better tires right now. The challenge is Leskola's raw pace is better than Del Olmo's. So Del Olmo just has to hang on here until he gets to the straightaways and possibly can then affect another pass. But man, this lead battle has been spicy for a long time, and it's staying spicy.
Yeah, with 14 minutes left in the race, they do have to withstand another round of the traffic as well, and I don't think it's as spread out as it was before. Oh, sorry, close together as it was before. It's now spread out a bit more. There is other battles going on. I think I just saw Aaron Humphrey and Jason Clapper go side by side, and they are indeed, and they're just battling Jason Clapper, trying to fight for that position. Clapper, 8 positions made up. I was looking at Aitor Sintes Galinder has made 9 positions up this race. Clapper using the advantage. He did not qualify, but starting in the back, was able to avoid a lot of it.
And Javier Del Olmo's made the pass. Yuka Leskola took it too deep through turn 1, not something that any of us expected, and Javier Del Olmo made the pass again, but now Yuko's right up his rear tailpipe, but here comes Ian Haycox with a head of steam. This may be Ian's shot at the lead. Here
comes Ian. Ian's going to be looking at this. Ian's going to take it free. Wide. They go down now. And Ian decides it's not worth the hassle. Is there going to be a move here? You can see Leskola trying to do this. They're almost trying to go through this. They're going to keep this overlap, and they're going to go side by side down into the chute. And that should give this to Leskola. But the fight back from Del Olmo is still there. Del Olmo loses out. Now he's going to watch out for Ian Haycox. Ian Haycox may look for this move going into the toe. Decides against it, but all of a sudden Leskola's going a little bit long. This battle is still going at him.
Absolutely, and Leskola is he's a little tight in the braking zones. It's giving Javier Del Olmo all the opportunities he needs to try and make a move. Yuko's been too deep on the brakes in multiple braking zones this lap, and that's giving Javier Del Olmo a chance. Yuko, who's usually so consistent, so on point, is showing signs of wear today.
And I think the track temp is starting to warm up a little bit, and that may be playing a small impact on this. May not be used to this.
We're up to 37.
37?
The temperature's increasing a lot. It's up 3 degrees Celsius Fahrenheit. So oh my goodness.
It's now 101 Fahrenheit, 38 Celsius is what I'm seeing. Does Javier have a move here? He's going to look. He realizes, though, Leskola made the mistake last time, and Leskola, it does not look like a clean turn one to me. You can see how tighter Javier was on that line. Javier's got to be careful because he's had to lift. He's had so much speed. He almost made the move on the S's. That's not what he wants to do.
Riding on board with Yuka Leskola, seeing what he's doing through the S's. It's a very drifty car, this Audi, but Javier with a good amount of run. He backed off just a little bit to the S's so he could get this one. He's going to look to the inside. Yuko's preferred the outside lately. Oh, late on the brakes for Javier. Can he get it stopped in front of Yuko? Yes!
And he can get it stopped, but at the meantime, here comes Lars Olsen. He may be a little bit of a hindrance here. Can he get past both of them? He cannot. Almost goes into the side of Leskola. Here comes Ian for the first time that we've talked about it. Can't make the move. Hugh Haycock now coming by. They'll get a little bit of a breather for a lap, but look at this. They are all having to dice around here in the heat. And a spin! And Haycock's in Haycock's! They come together! And there was a little tap there, but I believe it was Leskola as Hugh Haycock got a little bit side on there.
Yeah, Hugh unfortunately got out into the marbles on the outside of the track there. The rear tires slipped up and Yuka Leskola just touched him, and that's enough to upset the GTPs. But then side-on contact between Ian and Hugh, the two Haycocks, is coming together 2 races after they won together.
You did not expect to see that. That could be a big change in the race. There is damage on the wing of Hugh Haycock. He cannot keep the top speed up, it will be clear. He has 2 seconds to play with. The damage on Ian's car as well. Nothing he could have done there. He was just a passenger in that little moment there. It has completely thrown open the GTOs. But for the GTPs, Timothy Vaughan all of a sudden, he sees that number's no longer 12 seconds. It's a second.
And he's closing very, very quickly. There goes Hugh Haycock ahead, just past Yuka Leskola. Didn't give Leskola much room that time. Probably a little frustrated with what happened. Timothy Vaughan, though, look at the speed difference. Hugh Haycock's crawling compared to Vaughan.
20 kilometers is the difference. And let me tell you, that is not a difference you want to be seeing on a track that is so dependent on top speed. Haycock is going to try and wrestle this car to the end. And Vaughan does have a little bit of a breather there as he has to wait for Del Olmo. He comes back down. He doesn't need to do anything now. That gap is half a second. All he's got to do is wait. Don't even be surprised if he takes 3 tenths down at this little straight here on the boot. In fact, Hugh's got another bad exit. He's trying to keep himself away there. He's trying to do all he can. Timothy's right on the back. It's not a question of when. It's a question of what corner.
Absolutely. Oh, Hugh Haycock's very loose now as well. That car not behaving like he wants. Probably a little bit of suspension damage for him. Well, look at this. Timothy Vaughan, he could pick his time, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the front straight.
It's going to be the front straight. He's got 4 tenths, but when you're that so down on speed, it doesn't matter. 3 tenths. You see that number starting to close down 2 tenths. It might be a move here. He may wait. He's not going to wait. He's going to go straight for this, and they're going to fight the side by side. And thankfully, Haycock, he will keep on fighting this battle. He's going to hold it, and there it is, and he's just going to see that go away. And unfortunately, Hugh Haycock, for the first time this season, may not finish on the podium when he finishes a race.
What's interesting is that Yuka Leskola is still racing out there trying to catch up to Javier Del Olmo, so that race is not over even with 8 minutes to go. Oh boy, Yuko has a lot of work to do to try and capture another win here this season, but side by side between Jungbluth and Aitor Sintes Galindo right now. These two going into the outer loop, side by side they go, Jungbluth and Sintes Galindo.
Yeah, they have been trying to battle, and of course, now it is a P3 battle for these two. And it may even, if the speeds keep going up, it could be a battle for P2 if they manage to catch up to Haycock. But Hugh is really wrestling that car, and you can see, even with that top speed damage, he's able to make this. But Youngblood, Sintes Galindo are battling here for P3 at the moment. We've talked about Aitor. He's made up 9 places this race. Can it be 10? And will the 10th be Fabian for P3? With 3 tenths, 4 tenths, a good turn 1 here. I think he's setting himself up for turn 1.
And Aitor, interestingly enough, I think his car's a little... He set it up too well. It's a little neutral for him. And that's actually really hard to control a neutral car. You want it a little tight or a little loose, but neutral is a real challenge. But look at this, Jungbluth held up behind Felipe Savoy, and Aitor Sintes Galindo had to brake a little harder, but this is going to set him up really well for the back straight, and they've got no GTO traffic to contend with. It's just Sintes Galindo and Jungbluth, and look at this, Jungbluth giving the inside to Sintes Galindo. They're going to go side by side down the backstretch.
Side by side they go, and there is still a little bit of an overlap there, and Jungbluth will have to do this around the outside. And here they go, down around the outside they do, and Fabian is trying to hold on, and he's not able to. And can that inside line be defended? It cannot be, and they're going to try again. Door is finally shut from Sintes Galindo. It is 10 places for the day, and Sintes Galindo will take that P3, but the battle is still going on as Jungbluth looks to try and make that move.
Absolutely, Jungbluth thinking about possibly doing something into the heel of the boot. It's a real challenge in any car. It's a real challenge in the GTPs. I think he's too far back. He's going to have to concede this position for this lap.
Going to have to concede it, but also an interesting thing. Hugh Haycock's last lap was a 1:32.3. Both of these guys were doing times in the 29s. That gap is now 3 seconds. They will catch Hugh before the end of this race. And all of a sudden, Hugh is looking at losing again. As I was saying, it's not going to be the victory. It's going to be a P2, could even be P3. He may even lose P4 to Mike, and then maybe even P5 to Martin Krajcik. But you've got to applaud that speed that he's doing. 1:31.6 with a damaged car.
Yeah, that's really impressive. There are some drivers out there in the GTPs whose fastest laps aren't even close to that. So good driving from them. A nice battle's been going on in the GTOs for multiple laps has been between Arturas Kundalis and Andreas Schuster. These two have been side by side at multiple points throughout this race for a couple of laps, and I think Schuster is running out of patience with Kundalis.
Yeah, you can see we've been watching this earlier in the race as well. They were battling again, and you start to see the different styles coming into play here with Arturas, with that TCR type style driving there, a little bit more of a throw it in style and the smoother style. Now it'll be interesting to see the gap when they come out of the first turn, and you start to see really Andreas looks a little bit cleaner, but can't get the throttle down until now, and that gap is starting to climb a little bit. But it looks to me, if he gets to run, and he's not, Arturas, it feels like he's got a bit of a faster car.
Oh, well, Andreas just was a little bit wide through there, but it's not going to matter because of the boxy nature of these GTOs. And I'm pretty sure Schuster's going to try and give this. No, he backs out of it. He's going to try and set up for the outer loop, forcing Arturas to take a bad line into the carousel. This is going to spit him out further on the inside, and Andreas Schuster thinks about a move. Can't quite get it done.
Can't get it done. Meanwhile, behind them, Yanami Costa just getting past Jamie Hamill-Smith for P7 around the carousel, the outer loop, sorry, as they call it. But these two still battling. Andreas unable to find any way through, and it's got to be frustrating because you're behind for so long. Maybe now he gets to move a little bit of a defensive move there from Arturas, and that is not what you can do. Well, nothing Andreas can do is what I'm saying, and that's got to be frustrating in that car.
And those of you watching the timing and scoring portion, our pylon, has noticed that Hugh Haycox has lost second to Aitor Sintes Galindo and Fabian Jungbluth very easily on the back straightaway. So unfortunately, that speed differential has come from the damage just starting to eat away at him. So Sintes Galindo and Jungbluth duking it out for second, and they've actually gained time on Timothy Vaughn recently. So just interesting things to note.
Well, they gained time, but they lost time this time by a 1:28.7.
Sorry,
on an average.
We gotta go to the lead of the GTOs. Yuka Leskola has gained on Javier Delomo. That second and a half gap is now no time at all. And there's a move from Yuka Leskola around the outside going into the outer loop.
Do you know what? I think they've realized they may be short on fuel because Hugh's not there anymore, and that was a 16-second gap. Are they going to have enough fuel? This could be touch and go for them, and that may be Javier having to save a little bit of fuel because he was a little bit slower. Leskola's going to retake that lead yet again. I think that's the third time he's taken that. He was a 43.968 last time by, compared to Javier's 44.896. So he has been running that car on the low fuel. But again, where is Timothy? Timothy is nowhere near them. I reckon they may have to go another lap, these leaders.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I wonder whether or not Yuko. I think Yuko's probably. Maybe that was the difference all along, is that Yuko took an extra lap of fuel compared to Javier, but Javier does not seem like he wants to put full power down out of these corners.
No, that is really interesting to see. On average, it's tough to see. I'm just trying to see where they are as they come across the line now. We know there's a 15-ish second gap between these cars and Timothy Vaughan. Timothy Vaughan, it's going to be touch and go. He's just coming around turn 9 now. And if you do that timing, it's going to be touch and go. He's going to get the white flag this time by. But for Del Olmo and Lescala, I'm not sure. This is going to be tight for both these drivers.
White flag for our leader, Timothy Vaughan, as he crosses the line. So, like you said, it's going to be touch and go for these drivers. They're just, oh man, it's going to be close for them for sure. Javier Del Olmo right on the back of Yuko Lescala, as you can see, saving fuel, not going for a pass.
Yep, going for a pass. And I think Esco just asked something about fuel. I'm not sure. He's holding on to Ian Haycox as well. Timothy Vaughan now. He's 11 seconds behind Lars Olsen. Just to give a context, he's 11 seconds behind Lars Olsen. Lars Olsen's right next to Lescala and Del Olmo. I don't think he can do it. I think these GTOs are going to have to go around again. And you start to see, speaking of a GTP, that is Tommy Kaleo-Kawaja, and he's trying to get by them with the damage. Lars Olsen's got all his damage repaired, so he's going to look at this. Is there a window open now for Del Olmo? Almost 3 wide, and Lescala gets turned around. He saves it, and Del Olmo decides the respectful game and holds on to that position.
Here we come through the final couple of corners. Timothy Vaughan is only 2 corners behind these guys. Javier almost got to speed up, otherwise he might not make it to the line with Yuko Lescala. It's going to be tight. So here is our leader, Timothy Vaughan, and it is going to be another lap for Lescala and Del Olmo. Esko Letaniemi is going to be the one who's going to... No, he's going to go around again as well. So Timothy Vaughan is going to cut off Ian Haycox. So that means that secures Lescala at least third as Timothy Vaughan wins it.
Timothy Vaughan with his first win of the season in the top split, I believe. But it is now going to be 3 cars left to fight out. It's going to be Lescala, Javier Del Olmo, and Esko Letaniemi. They are going to be the battles here. Do they have the fuel? This is going to be touch and go for them. If we didn't have that wreck, they would have been finished by now, and Lescala would have this victory. He does not. He holds on to this at the moment. 3 tenths is the gap. This is the key overtaking place. Where else can he go for an overtake right now?
He didn't show up for Le Mans. He DNF'd last week at Suzuka. Yuko Lescala desperate for a win here. He's DNF'd, not shown up, or won in every single race he's been in this season. And let's see whether or not he can keep the streak going. Javier Del Olmo has lost his best opportunity, and making a pass was not close enough for the back straightaway. But Yuko Lescala, car looking a little sketchy right now. Both of them a little tight off the corner.
A little tight, and also, are they trying to hold on to this fuel? They will hit the heel right now, and in they go. The gap is not shrinking enough for Javier Del Olmo. There's only really a couple chances that he can get this position now, and this is one of them up into turn 9. He does not have it. The door's been closed from Lescala. Is there a run here? Not going to happen this time by. They'll almost now got 1 braking corner to do this into the speed of turn 10. It's not there. Can he get anything? No, he's gone too wide. And Lescala's going to hold on to this, but they are taking this so careful. They must be on the end of their fuel. And Lescala will take the victory as Del Olmo will have to settle for P2. What a battle by those two.
What a race here for the Camel Series as Lescala takes his traditional slides to the corner. Esko Letaniemi will come home in the 3rd position. Wow, what a race.
What a race. So we're going to catch our breath as Lescala starts doing the trademark drifts. We're going to catch our break and take a quick break. And when we come back, we will have the full result and the interview. So do not go anywhere. Well, welcome back, everybody. We've kind of caught our breath after that fantastic race at Watkins Glen. So let's just quickly, as we see the green flag going waving there, go over those results. And Timothy Vaughan, with his second win ever in the Camel broadcast, takes the victory over Aitor Sintez Galindo, who just held on to Fabian Youngblood, Dennis Martin, Trey Crick, and Hugh Haycox. Managed that P5, held off Aaron Humphrey at the end there with that damage, a fantastic recovery there. Then Jason Clapp will be 7th, Brendan Lim will be 8th, and 9th will be Roman Bello, with Laus Olsen coming in 10th. And then, of course, just after that, there is Tommy Kaliogala in 11th, and Timothy Reed was a lap down in 12th. Ivan Oseo was in 13th, Tim Jonk 14th, and Artem Maraki, we saw that crash earlier, he finished in 15th. Adam, I've got my breath back. What about the GTOs?
GTOs have got Yuka Leskla taking the win over Javier Del Olmo by probably the smallest gap of a win for Yuka Leskla in quite a while. Escaleta Niemi finished on the same lap with these guys, 5 seconds back, but then it was Ian Haycox who got cut off by Timothy Vaughan right at the end, so he could battle with Esco for the final lap. Arturas Kundalis was able to hold off Andreas Schuster for 5th position, while Mikosta able to hold off Jamie Himmel-Smith for 7th. Then we got Samuel de Oliveira, who finished in 9th position. A good run for him, with Doug Cloud finishing in 10th with some damage. Micah Hendricks finished in 11th, and the rest of our drivers in the GTOs had trouble. Felipe Zavoy, Jack David Spigot, Franco Scurry, and Francois Schwink.
So, after that, we do have, for the second time in Winner's Lane, Timothy Vaughan. Timothy, the first thing I've got to say is congratulations. And the second thing is, what was your thought process when you saw Hugh fall down the relative so quickly?
Yeah, well, thank you. Definitely not a result I expected today. Watkins Glen sort of expected the multi-class to be pretty easy, qualified pretty well, and then it was pretty clear early on I didn't have the pace to keep up with Hugh and Tim Reed as well, who was on Planet Haycox today. So really unfortunate for him. Saw Hugh had a problem later in the race and sort of thought, okay, he's 3 seconds ahead, but still probably no damage, he'll just drive away from me again. Then it became pretty clear that he did have damage. He had a couple of nervous moments right in front of me, and I was just knew I could get him on a straight, so I didn't try and force the issue too much, and really fortunate today. Not too much else to say other than that.
Yeah, we talk about the patience of waiting as well. Patience as well in the traffic. Talk us through the traffic, because Watkins Glen can always be a little bit chaotic when it comes to traffic, and it seemed at some stages it was very nip and tuck when getting past the GTO. So what's your experience of the traffic today?
I had a pretty relaxed experience. As I said, the gap in front was pretty big, and Laus had a problem kind of early on behind me, so I could sort of have the luxury of taking it a little bit easy through the traffic. If there were cars going side by side through the S's, I could just sort of wait a little bit behind them, make the move when it was safe. So I guess for me, the multi-class traffic wasn't too bad today. Obviously, you have a gap behind and you get stuck behind somebody, that can, cost you 3-4 seconds, but I got pretty lucky today, I guess. Yeah,
well, you're lucky, and you're in the winner's enclosure, of course. Now, next week is Twin Ring Motegi. Do you have any experience at that track? Sorry, I'll get my words back out. Will we be seeing you next week at Twin Ring? It's not a track that many people race, so have you got any experience with it?
I've not done too many races at Twin Ring Motegi, but I think it's one of those tracks that's criminally underused. I think it's an excellent circuit, so I'm really excited to go there next week and give it a go. I think it's going to be great for multi-class as well, really wide.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Before we let you go, is there any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Shout out to you guys for the broadcast today. Thanks to Laust for always posting a setup week in, week out. That's always a really big help to the whole GTP community. Thanks to anybody from Australia and NZ who might be watching today.
Timothy, congratulations once again, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. That was Timothy Vaughan, the winner of the GTPs, and I believe Adam might have been around with Aitor Sintez Galindo, who came home in P2.
Yeah, absolutely. I was able to roll around and find Aitor, but Aitor, my goodness, what a battle between you and Fabian Youngblood for the last 15-20 minutes of this race. You've got to be sweating right now.
Well, it's not a camel race. I end up sweating for sure. But yeah, it's been an amazing race for me. As I botched up qualifying and I started uh, last or something like that. It was like, well, one of those races. I need to keep calm and everything. Then people started doing mistakes in front of me and everything, and I was able to capitalize on a battle with Fabian as usual. Great battles with him. Every time we battle, it's always a blast. So yeah, a very good race, very good result, and congratulations on the team.
Absolutely, and the overspeed from the GTPs on the Audis, especially towards the end of the race, 15 seconds per lap. That is hard to comprehend and hard to calculate for any driver. But talk to me about how you navigated the traffic today.
Yeah, especially on this track because there's a lot of fast corners, and this it's always criminal for the Audis. So basically, you have to have a mindset that you have to predict that the Audis will understeer on the exit of the corner. So basically, you have to have a mindset that okay, he will understeer, so you have to pull brake a little and try to go on the inside. The problem with this track in particular is the S's, because the S's have very very quick corners, and if you get up into the Audis in the very particular moment in which the Audis start turning around the S's, it's a very dangerous moment, and then that ends up in disaster. For example, yesterday I had the well, so I got collected by an Audi because of that. So yeah, but basically a lot of experience. Basically, you have to have a lot of experience, very very patience around the Audis, and you'll end up with a clean nose.
Well, Aitor, a fantastic race for me today, a fantastic battle with Fabian, as you said. Is there anyone that you would like to thank for your P2 today?
As usual, you guys for the broadcast, family, friends on watching, my friend teammates at Pushrod, and shout out to team for the win, and to Hugh for the championship. I think he's a 2-time champion, not by default line like me. So yeah, thanks guys, and see you next week on Motegi.
That was Aitor Santos Glenda, who finished in P2 in the GTPs. Back to you, Craig.
Thanks, Adam. That was a nice interview. Always nice to hear Aitor. That is going to be it for the day. So I want to give a thanks out yet again to the team, Adam, Rob, and of course, Dougie. And make sure to check out all the social medias, our website, and the merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you do not miss a moment here on GSRC. Now, don't forget, our next race will be next weekend, which is the Twin Ring Motegi, Saturday, 25th of February, noon Eastern, of course. And don't forget to check out other broadcasts that are being listed at the moment. But until then, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.